Thanks for helping us work through this, Joel. Hello, everyone. The United States Air Force and SBCC, Small Business Consulting Corporation, are very glad that you're here. You are actually why SBCC exists. We at SBCC are part of the Air Force CCIT initiative, which is the Commercial Capabilities Integration and Transition Initiative. We are an advisory and assistance service provider to the federal government. So we're hired by them to find the technology that our warfighters need to be and remain superior. One of our emphases is scouring the technology landscape to bring the Air Force and DoD technologies they didn't even know existed. But what we really like doing is finding out precisely what our military needs and is willing to put manpower, resources, and money towards and go find solutions that meet those needs. The military can be a very lucrative partner for companies, but it can be a very hard, long road to navigate. The military's primary focus has not been on being a great business partner. Their focus has been on being able and willing to punch the enemy in the mouth hard if that's needed. So our purpose is to help the military work well with businesses and to make it easier for business to understand and do business with the military. It's always helpful to share that since the government has hired us at SBCC, we are a free service to the companies with whom we work. So just keep that in mind. I do want to let you know this meeting is being recorded. As always, be careful asking questions or making comments that may divulge your company's proprietary information. I want to let you also know that we should be having pre-release information in the chat. So that's information that will level set you to what the ITMS or Intelligent Traffic Management System specific topic is all about, and what we're about today and during the pre-release period. If you have a question you want to ask live, ask you to please click the Q&A button at the bottom, not the chat button, but the Q&A button. And we have a team of folks that are going to be helping to answer those questions or making sure that that they get directed to the correct government people so that they see those. Also want to draw your attention to the slides on the screen before you. They'll be rotating along. Joel, if we can pull up the slide of the 4 things we want to encourage them not to do, that would be helpful. Yeah, just going to show you this. These are 4 things that will immediately disqualify your proposal. So all your technology, all your effort at getting a proposal together will be for naught if you make any of these 4 mistakes. Since this is a phase 1, you can't ask for more than $180,000. If you ask for $1 more, then they're just going to immediately disqualify you and not even look at anything else. This phase 1 has a 6-month period of performance. So you don't want to ask for more than a 6-month period of performance or the same thing will happen. Be sure that you submit all the required documents. If you don't, immediate disqualification. And last, this is sort of obvious, but if a submission isn't relevant to this specific topic, then it's not going to be considered for obvious reasons. So we are in the pre-release period. This period lasts until May 15, and in May 15, we'll start the open period when submissions can be submitted. That will last for about a month. During this period and the open period, and especially today, the questions that you ask of the TPOCs, or technical point of contact, they must be limited to specific information related to improving your understanding of the topic requirements. Make sure that's crystal clear so that you are asking the right questions, because if you ask questions outside of those bounds, they won't be answered. So again, questions should be limited to specific information related to improving your understanding of the topic requirements, which can be found in DSIP when you read the submission request. No questions are going to be allowed for advice or guidance on the solution approach, nor may additional materials be submitted to the TPOC or the SME, subject matter expert. Again, companies should be mindful of how you ask your questions. You want to protect your proprietary information. These topics and the discussions can become highly classified quickly, so we'll purposefully avoid specific information as needed and keep the discussion general. If you have, as a result of this meeting, if you have further questions, the emails are still available. The DSIP portal and questions through DSIP continues to be available. The DSIP all the questions will be public and the answers given will be public, so keep that in mind. And to make it clear, since we're in the phase one arena, the phase one proposal should be an explanation of your technology or solution. It's just an explanation. You're essentially proposing a 6-month research project to assess your tech and convince the Air Force that what you can do would be one of the best approaches. And if you're chosen, you will work with the government customer to come up with a use case for it and the specifics of how to adapt your solution. And that'll be listed in the follow-on phase 2 proposal. Again, the phase 1 is a 6-month project, period of performance. It's essentially a research report. No prototyping will be involved here. And so questions related to prototyping, questions related to Palm or transitioning or phase 3, again, are just not part of the scope of the meeting today or the phase 1 effort in general. And again, it's up to $180,000 award. Just for your future reference, the follow-on phase 2 prototype phase is a 2-year period of performance, unless that changes, and it can change. It's a 2-year period of performance. It's much more involved. You're making an actual prototype. Since that's more expensive, the award is 10 times the phase 1, so it's $1.8 million. Again, that's as of now. That could change, but that's the current numbers. So in just a moment, we will hand the microphone over to the TPOC and the alternate TPOCs. But when I do that, if you have a question, please click the Q&A button, ask your question there. Feel free to go ahead and ask your questions now in that Q&A rather than in the general chat. So with that, I will open it up to if there are 1 or 2 TPOCs, they're going to be using the microphone. Let me just be quiet for a minute and let you introduce yourself, share with everyone your expertise related to this topic, and then just maybe share in your own words what you're looking for in this specific topic effort. So with that, I'll be quiet and hand it over for a moment.
Good afternoon. This is Mance Clark with the 502nd Security Forces Group here at Joint Base San Antonio. Just get a quick overview for the layout of Joint Base San Antonio. We're a combination of 3 different locations within the San Antonio area, with some sub-satellites within the San Antonio area also composing of about a total of 4 locations within JBSA. The kind of a quick objective of our process and what we're looking for is basically integration with existing infrastructure. That infrastructure will be to provide real-time automated gate traffic status updates to base personnel as well as visitors. We're looking at minimizing the gate congestion, along with reducing security risk associated with that, and then improving the overall user experience with respect to accessing the installation. The deeper discussion would include the capabilities of handling high volumes of traffic during peak times on the installation. Also, too, capable of handling surges in traffic, which is experienced during our weekly basic military training graduations on the JBSA Lackland. As part of the solutions, the ITMS should include leveraging geolocational technology to guide personnel and visitors to the most efficient gate based on their proximity, not only their proximity, but the real time with respect to traffic conditions and wait times at our respective access control points, their gates. In addition, the system would also enhance the base security by detecting and reporting attempted pedestrians and wrong way entrances, providing valuable input to the base Defense Operations Center. And that's basically the headquarters for the law enforcement operations for all 3 locations, the Crisis Actions Team and the command post, along with public affairs. There's a Crisis Action Team. Those are usually activated during an increased threat condition, where that the command post and Crisis Action Team are all, along with public affairs, they're all gathered in one room for discussions based off of what the situation is at that particular time. Also, the ITMS needs to be accessible through the JBSA apps or a similar app with the integrated to the Air Force Connect. And those are all processes that are would be able to downloadable through Google Play for access. It also must be able to allow us to establish separate permissions of JBSA personnel and visitors. The JBSA personnel that we're talking about, these are your common access card holders, active duty military, civilians that are assigned installation of DoD civilians. Then the visitors are those individuals that are temporarily visiting the installation for a particular period of time, a couple of days to up to a couple of months. And then those individuals would actually fall off the access control process. The system must also be capable of fully integrating with existing systems such as our DBIDs, and that's the Base Defense Integrated System. That's where your CAT cards are utilized for accessing the installation. And like I said, the DBIDs scanners actually are used also for scanning visitor passes and allows individuals onto the installation. Also use a lot utilization of cameras as well as the stat tracker. The cameras are some cameras are fixed post at the locations themselves, and then StatTrack is a process that we're currently using to basically count the number of vehicles that are coming through a particular access control point. Basically, this all leads to a more efficient traffic management process onto the installation.
Okay, very good, sir. Thank you for taking the time to introduce yourself and share those things. So with that, we'll go ahead and open up the Q&A. I do see one question there. I want to make sure everybody knows now is the time if you want to speak directly with the technical points of contact, the folks who have expertise in understanding this problem and what is required for the phase one. I mean, now's your time to speak directly to them, have your questions answered live. And again, be mindful, this is recorded, so anything that's said, if you don't catch everything, this video will be it'll be available to the public not long after the recording stops. So it may be a day or two, but it'll be available again for your review. So just be mindful of that. I do see a couple of questions in the Q&A. Mr. Clark, if you'd like to take a look at those and begin your answer, that would be fantastic.
Hey, Cody, this is Kathy. For the first question about the SBIR having elements of significant research, this particular project, it's a feasibility study. So we're looking at a thorough review of existing traffic management solutions to understand their capabilities and limitations, and then see how they can be applied to the JBSA's specific needs. So it's a feasibility study only.
Yeah, and helpful to know that the company, this is really this is a question about SBIR and not so much the specific topic. So I think we can speak to that. But the role of the company here is to to show how your technology meets the problem. And if you need to do research as part of that, do what you need to do to make it clear to the United States Air Force that you have a solution for them. So I hope that answers the question. If not, feel free, whoever asked that, to ask again or ask something if this follow on. Mance, there's several other questions that are popping up. Can you see those, sir? If so, I can be quiet and let you work at the next one.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much. Should we include video processing hardware in the proposed solution, and how many cameras should the ITMS process? At this particular point, the response would be no, as far as the video processing portion of, you're asking for the pictures, right? So basically, what the response would be: include all options to include cameras in your package, please. Okay, are we going
The-
to next question?
There's a previous one. There's a previous one, sir. I'll read it out loud in case you don't have access to that one.
Okay.
The question is, are you going to provide example video from gate cameras in phase 1 or phase 2?
No, we're not. But
Okay.
the request is that they include it though in all options that for the cameras.
Very good. Okay, and as we're working through these, again, we have a couple questions lined up. We'll answer those in a moment. But again, just as a reminder, now a great time for you to hit the Q&A and ask your questions. The next one, sir, is can we have a visit of the gate and surrounding perimeter? And we'll give our TPOCs time to discuss if they need to.
Okay, sorry about that. Just to make sure we covered a couple of key issues. With respect to visiting the gates, unfortunately, no, we can't support that. However, if they request to do the surrounding perimeter, again, they're free to do that. We would ask, though, is that go through the process of notifying us that you're going to be in the local area outside the perimeter so that local law enforcement isn't called. But yes, we can support that.
Very good, sir. Next question. Are all visitors on base expected to use this system?
The forwarding or final solution as we move through this would be yes. They would all be made available to all of them to actually utilize for access onto the installation.
Perfect. Okay, sir, next question. It says, does ITMS need to work both day and night under all weather conditions?
And the response would be, yes, it would.
Super, thank you. Okay, I have one more question lined up. So again, go ahead and get in the queue if you want to have your thoughts or questions answered. This one says, can you explain more about how the DBID scanners are integrated into the JBSA app at present?
Exactly. So DBID scanners right now, the DBID scanners are these remote that you're talking about for integrating into the JBSA application. It's done through a Wi-Fi enabled approved POC that would actually, these POCs, as you will, the scanners, actually retrieve data, criminal history data, or denial data that personnel have been identified for one reason or another that can't come onto the installation. And so through those processes there, that's how we're able to screen individuals coming onto the installation. So the DBIDs is actually a key component for vehicle access and personnel access onto the installation itself.
Very good, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we have one more question. So add your question to the queue if you like. This last one that I see here says, what specific traffic information is expected to be extracted from gate camera?
Okay, the extracting of the information from the gate camera itself, the gate cameras as they are currently deployed, it's strictly providing a visualization of what's going on at that particular location. The cameras are not used for any other documentation purposes. As I mentioned earlier, we talked about the Base Defense Operations Center. The Base Defense Operations Center can actually pull up some of the cameras at the gates or what have you to look at particular traffic going through. Worst case scenario, if something were to have happened at the gate through the BDOC, they would actually be able to rewind the tape and see what actually led up to it, being able to obtain a license plate number or whatever the case was to further investigations if we had any issues there at that particular location. But other than that, the gates serve no other purpose other than just that.
Very good. Thank you, sir. There's one more question. It says, are we expected to field integration and testing with gate cameras in phase 2? How long will the phase 2 on-site test last? Again, this is a phase 1 effort, and so phase 2 questions are not within the scope of this. Although, Nance, if you want to say something, you're certainly welcome to. And that's the last question. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, if we can we go back to that last question that we were talking about with the gate cameras?
Yes, sir. Would you like me to read that again to find it? Yes,
if you don't. Yeah. For me,
certainly,
please,
certainly. I'll pull it right up here. It says, what specific traffic information is expected to be extracted from gate cameras?
Okay, yeah. So the traffic information would be the tracking piece of vehicles coming through the gate, the time of the gate, the time that they're traveling through. That information there is kind of what when I spoke earlier about the stat track. Stat track is tracking the vehicle that's coming through, the speed of the vehicle that entered the gate, and then the frequencies of vehicles on certain Monday through Friday time periods, identifying detailed peak times of traffic versus non-peak times of traffic.
Okay.
So I kind of gave you the half of the answer to begin with, but that's the follow-up to that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The one question again is asking about the phase 2 efforts, and phase 2 is prototyping. So whatever you propose in phase 1 is what you'll be prototyping in phase 2. So phase 2 questions are not really suitable at this point. So I think we'll probably skip that question, Dayton. If you want to push that one out of the queue, that'd be helpful. Have a long question then, sir. I'm happy to read that. It's from Lee. If you'd rather read it yourself, it's fine. Otherwise, I'm certainly willing to read it aloud for everyone.
We got it, Cody.
Okay.
Just give us a minute.
Okay. Yeah. Let's we'll pause for a minute while the TPOCs read this question, lengthy question, but give them a chance to understand it, digest it, and then think about how they want to respond. Meantime, while they're doing that, again, go ahead and fill up the Q&A with your questions so that we're ready to go as soon as they finish with this most recent one that they're getting ready to answer. I see one other question after the current longer one. So there's still certainly room and time available for you to ask your questions. These are the folks who are extremely knowledgeable and will be helping coordinate the effort of your phase 1 if you win the award. So great time to ask your questions now to make sure you're giving them the information that they would like to see when your submission comes to them.
Yes. Oh, okay, we're there. So if you don't mind, we'll take the first question there. In that there are many devices mentioned in the BAA. Would have to explain of them. Basically, we're breaking it down. It's kind of what I covered during the initial brief. The Base Defense Operations Center is what we call the BDOC. That's kind of would be the headquarters of for the security dispatching. And so in that particular location, the Base Defense Operations Center, we've got a fireman sits in that location along with a police officer. There's 3 locations on JBSA Randolph, Lackland, and Fort Sam. All 3 locations operate a Base Defense Operations Center that's interlinked for that particular location. And with respect to the Crisis Action Team, the Crisis Action Team sits actually on JBSA Fort Sam that team is actually mustered together, doing an increased FPCon, changes in our defensive posture. That team would be activated for the management, overall management of that incident. And I think in the civilian world, they call the other piece out of that would be the Emergency Operations Center, or the EOC, if you're referring to most of your cities. The third one there is the command post. The command post is basically the centralized communication network, transferring data from the base level back to headquarters U.S. NORTHCOM, headquarters Air Force, headquarters Air Force, with respect to up-channel reporting processes. Most of your higher channel reporting processes would come from the higher headquarters down through the command post, and then from the command post, it would be pushed out to the respective locations. And then the public affairs, they would also sit within that structure with the CAT. And the command post is, I'm sorry, the public affairs individuals, those are your IPOs, I think they call them in the civilian world, but they're basically the advisement of what type of endorsed response going out to news agencies. In the event that an incident occurred on the installation, we have an obligation to reporting to the public, and the Public Affairs Office is the one agency that handles that. Give me a second for, I'll give you an answer for number 2.
Yes, sir. Take your time, read and digest that. In the meantime, other questions are being added to the queue, so that's helpful.
Yeah.
We are halfway through this, so we have time for plenty more questions. There are about 5 more questions in the queue after this one, but we have time for many more. So if you have further questions, now's the time to ask. If you've already asked 1 or 2 or 3, it's okay. There's no limit here. So feel free to pile the questions on. Now's a great time to get all the information you need to give a fantastic submission.
Okay, I'm ready with number 2. Accessible through the JBSA app or similar API, and will integrate with the Air Force Connect application. Basically, what right now we've got the JBSA app. It's kind of a one-sided process right now, as it stands with respect to where we're going with this for the future. But inside of the JBSA app, accessible by anyone on the installation or off the installation through private sectors or personal email accounts and what have you. Again, the app is downloadable. Information provided off of the app right now would be if there's a gate closure, we have the ability to identify through the app. So anyone with that app on their phones or personal devices would actually be notified that the west gate at JBSA Lackland is closed until further notice, with some information as to maybe why it's closed, but that's the extent of it. And so the merger process that we're looking for as we move through this would be to allow for information to be pushed out to the public or anyone intended on visiting a JBSA location to be able to receive real-time data of a gate closure. And then the futuristic part of what this whole process we're going through right now, we would be able to send real-time data of the main gate at JBSA Randolph has a 20-minute wait due to large crowd gatherings. That would be the exact same thing if we were looking for JBSA Lackland, where we've got a BMT graduation that goes on every Wednesday. Then you would notify the public that the gates are backed up. And so if anybody planned on visiting JBSA Lackland, they would then look for an alternative gate to go through versus one of the loop gates to access the installation. That's number 2. Number 3, give me a second.
Certainly, sir. Thank you.
Okay, for question number 3, compliant with DoD cybersecurity policies included in the RMF INSTs 800-53 and 800-171, and incorporated effective user management capabilities allowing to establish separate permissions for JBSA personnel and visitors, thereby ensuring appropriate force protection. Bottom line on this one here, and this is nothing more than dual authentication. What you see now in a lot of apps where if you're trying to get into your bank account, dual authentication goes with it. So in this case here, the DoD standards, the 853 and 171, those are the compliance pieces that we have to abide by. And so if we're connecting to the network, these pieces will be managed by our comm infrastructure. So it's just, again, a standardized process of ensuring networthiness and security of information getting out. And so the product that we're using, attaching to it, must be vetted. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you, sir. There's a fourth part there to that question. I believe you see that. Mr. Clark, do you see the fourth part there to the question, or maybe you already answered that and I missed it while I was.
No. We just had a little quick powwow. We're back.
Certainly.
Integration.
Certainly.
Yeah. There we go. Integration with systems like DBIDs, cameras, and platforms such as JBSA app and Air Force Connect. And so I think as they're asking this question here, the integration of this is where we're going with that integration process is we would like that capability that allows for that transfer of information, the DBIDs data point. As I said earlier, with the DBIDs, the biggest part of the DBIDs is that is the core process, vetting process to get you onto the installation. And that is done for everybody coming through the gate, either or getting a visitor pass or used through the DBIDs. The camera systems, again, is that, yes, we would like that integration with the cameras and the platforms, such as the JBSA app and Air Force Connect, being able to providing some of that real-time data that we're getting from the cameras sent back to those particular apps. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, sir. And I'll jump in here and just say the individual who asked those questions did put a message in the general chat and wanted to say thank you for taking the time on those. They did put a follow-up question in the chat. Again, just a reminder to everybody, please put your questions in the Q&A portion, and that's where the TPOCs are going to see those questions. But I'll go ahead and ask this one. It says, thanks for the answers. Would DoD cybersecurity policies, including RMF, be available for us without DoD access? We'll give the TPOCs a chance to consult among themselves so that they can give an adequate answer. And sometimes we shouldn't be surprised if they say they can't answer that question now, or they'll have to get back with you on that. Those sorts of things happen. They have a lot of balls they're juggling, and this is a large specific topic with a lot of permutations. But certainly they're doing the best they can, so we appreciate that. We'll give them time to think about that question.
Okay, concerning your last question concerning, we would have to, let's table, if we can, table that one. We'll get back with you to make sure we get a good, there's some processes out there. We just want to do some, another deep dive check. And
yes, sir.
Also too, when we talked about the cameras earlier, I hate to keep flopping back, but with respect to the camera systems, just kind of think of this, the cameras that we've got right now are probably a couple of years old. And so when you start talking integration, the stuff that we've got on place, that we got embedded with right now is probably not going to work or be viable or applicable in the near future. So we would need when you're talking a camera process, it would be something that you would bring to the table in your proposal.
Yeah, very helpful. And to the questioner who asked that question in chat, as the TPOC said, they are not ready to answer right now, but you can certainly follow up with them through the email available in the DSIP submission information, and you can reach out to them for an answer that way. Moving on, the anonymous attendee says, will the ITMS be deployed at Base Defense Operations Center, BDOC, and how will the ITMS access the video from gate cameras? And while they're determining their answer, we've got 7 questions in the queue lined up. We still have about 21 minutes left, so feel free to add your questions to the Q&A portion.
Okay, the question at hand, will the ITMS be deployed at the Base Operations Center, the BDOC, and how will the ITMS access video from the gate cameras? Yes, it would be deployed at the BDOCs. There's 3 Base Defense Operations Centers operating for JBSA Randolph, Lackland, and Fort Sam. They've got controllers with a fireman sitting next to them at those operation centers, and they're the hubs for dispatching fire and police. So to answer that portion of the question. The other question that was added in there is how will the ITMS access the video from the gate cameras? So as of right now, the cameras we've got at the gate, we had to go through a process with our comm squadron to utilize the NIPRNet, but in that process, comm has to validate, and there's a lengthy process they go through, but they would have to validate the camera selection that you bring to us as being applicable to sit on the NIPRNet and then be able to transfer that data back to the BDOC. The other option would be you would come up with another means of transferring data from that location back to the respective BDOC.
And just to follow up on that, just so everybody's kind of on the same page, you know, if you're awarded the feasibility study, you may have a new suggestion for the government on how they connect any items to any other items. So if you want to know what they're currently doing, that's one thing, and you want to fit within it. But you know, in the feasibility study, you're really proposing, you know, how you want things, you recommend things be connected. So just keep that information in mind. The next question comes from Robert Emmett. Does data exist on gate throughput? What I mean is it well understood how long a gate, and that was just removed. Oh, here it is. A gate clearance takes. Is it well understood how long a gate clearance takes?
They're open to all options.
Okay, the question that we see presented here is face recognition required? And again, we're open to your proposal with respect to facial recognition capabilities. Okay.
Yep, very good. Thank you, sir. Next question on gate throughput. Do you see that there, sir, or would you like me to read that?
Yes, I see that one now.
Okay.
It does.
Okay. Does data exist on the gates throughput? What I mean is it well understood, and how long is the gate gate clearance takes. The data that we're utilizing right now, I spoke about StatTrack is a program that we're using. It's a wireless-based program that tracks 2 lanes, inbound lanes or outbound lanes, but it tracks the traffic throughput and flow at that particular gate. We're mainly utilizing it right now to determine frequency of usage, i.e. high traffic times. For example, we are tracking it to outbound lanes to determine during the course of the day when minimal use is needed, minimal use is utilized by patrons leaving the base, and we're able to close that particular gate down during those time periods based off of the intelligence piece we're getting from StatTrack, and it allows us to adjust manpower. And so we would apply the same process to inbound traffic. We've got high traffic areas based off of the high traffic areas and peak time periods. We are able to deploy additional forces at those locations to now help us expedite traffic onto the installation. And so this is was a very good answer. Very good question, and it's kind of the crux of what we're all about right now with this. Okay.
Fantastic. There's 5 other questions there. I'll give you a moment to read the next one, sir.
Okay, for simplicity of the answer to this, would you give us an idea of intersections that needs to be scoped in the proposal? And again, not being sarcastic, I would recommend utilizing Google Earth, and you'll basically get a very, and the reason why I say that is Google Earth has been changed over the last couple of years where the military installations used to be masked out. That is no longer the case. And so if you go to Google Earth and pull up Joint Base San Antonio, Randolph, Lackland, Fort Sam, or Camp Bullis, it will actually give you that location from a geospatial background, and then you can actually zoom in and see the access control points at those particular locations. 3D also. So I think that'll be the simplest part that will give you that bird's eye view. I think somebody mentioned earlier about the coming out to doing an assessment. We can save some money in your flight plans.
Yeah, the short answer here you're saying is all of the gates of all of the bases that are part of Joint Base San Antonio. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. You're absolutely correct. And that was not the case years ago. The whole installation was masked, and you couldn't see anything. And that's been a change. And so it's quite visible to see the gate.
Very good. Okay. The next question says, do you expect ITMS to establish the connection between detected vehicles / pedestrians and identification information from DBIDs? And to the companies out there, we've got 4 more questions. This is one of the 4 questions in the queue. So there's still more time for further questions if you have any.
Okay, we've got the question at hand. Do you expect ITMS to establish the connection between detected vehicles, pedestrians, and information for DBIDs? Yes, that is the expectation, is that we have that capability that goes with it. What I don't want to do is be misleading with respect to that. If you're looking at those Google Maps, you'll notice a lot of the installations, there's really no curbs or sidewalks that walks up to the base. And so we don't get a lot, and I say we, between Joint Base Lackland, Randolph, and Fort Sam, there's foot traffic, but not high volumes. So right now we have no way, when individuals are walking up to the base, they basically make contact with the guard walks over to them, the guard verifies their credentials, scans it with the D-bids, and the individual walks onto the installation. Through the use of the technological venues, we would be looking for a more simplistic process, as you will, that would do that without the guard having to leave his one location to go to a sidewalk and have a conversation with an individual that's already authorized on the installation. I know it's kind of a broad stroke of the pen, but that's kind of the way that we've got the proposal set up. We want to accommodate vehicle traffic getting on, and we also want to accommodate the odd pedestrian traffic coming onto the installation and the vetting process associated with that. Okay?
Very good. Thank you, sir. Next question, how often should the traffic information be updated for the visitors and Google?
Okay, this is a great question. We're looking at real time, and it's through that real time process. A lot of our actions, as I mentioned earlier, about posting guards, increasing the number of guards at the gate or reducing guards at the gate. So with that real time data, our respective leaders can then look at that and then make a conscious decision as to closing a gate, adjusting the hours to that gate, or adjusting personnel to it. So real time would be key in gaining this information. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. The next question says, do you currently have tools to automatically extract traffic data from videos of gate cameras?
Unfortunately, we don't, and trust me, we need it. Okay.
Yes, very good. There's two questions left. Are the communications, e.g. fiber, part of the scope in the phase one?
Yeah, the information the question is, are the communications example fiber be part of the scope in phase one? No, it's not.
Yeah, and just as a general reminder for everyone, again, the phase one is a research report, and so just make sure you understand that's what we're focusing on here. One question left, so if you have a further follow-up question, now's a great time to do it. The last question here is, at gate, will pedestrians, wheelchairs, motorcycles, bikes be considered in the scope of work?
Okay, yeah, at gates will pedestrians, wheelchairs, motorcycles, bikes be considered in the scope? It's basically individuals riding motorcycles would come through the gate as if a vehicle would. They would stop, be vetted through the D-bid scanner and allowed on. Bicyclists historically will get off of their bikes and then walk them through the gate to make contact with the guard, because they've got to get their wallets out of their back pockets. With respect to the wheelchairs, I haven't seen it, but yes, we would still process them through ADA compliance. We would process them onto the installation via their wheelchairs. Okay.
Okay, very good. No further questions at this time. I'm gonna share a few more items, and we'll give folks a last opportunity to ask any final questions. I do want to let everybody know that in the chat we have a link for Small Business Consulting Corporation. If you would like to make our company aware of your company, the link is there for you to put your company's information into our business network. And as we're looking for technology solutions for the United States Air Force, you will already be there, and you'll be one of the ones that we investigate as we're trying to find solutions for them. So be sure to take a look at that link. That could be helpful to you and to us in the Air Force. Also, my email is there for you. If you have any questions about this video, this specific topic, I'm happy to forward you to the right people. Just want to make sure you have plenty of contacts. You're not ever without someone to go to if you have any kind of follow-on questions as a result of this meeting. So that is available for you as well. And I do want to say, if nobody else is coming on, I do want to say thank you to all the companies for the work you do in expanding the technology base of the United States of America. Hope to see many of your technologies submitted for this specific topic so that the United States Air Force can evaluate, pick out the best ones, and find what will work best for our warfighters to make sure, in this case, that base gauge speed and security and swiftness is maintained. So we thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you for coming on today. And I see that I ran my mouth long enough that no other questions come on, which is great. That's why we're here. Can we include an on-site survey in phase 1 to learn about the current setups and limitations?
Okay. The anonymous attendant, the best, I would recommend this, and again, in all actuality, utilizing the Google Earth to be able to get a kind of a real-time picture of what the installation look like, access control points look like, some of the major highways, and I'll call off a couple of military highway for JBSA Lackland would be one of their concerns, to kind of look at that. It has some uniqueness about it. The other one for JBSA Fort Sam is the I-35 410 corridor, along with the I-35 410 and 281 corridor that surrounds JBSA Fort Sam would answer some of your serious questions. And then for JBSA Randolph, you've got 1604 West, along with Interstate 10 and I-35 going north into Austin would be some of the major outstructs. And then by doing that, you can kind of look at some of what you get a good idea of what kind of traffic is and what highways they're coming off of to get onto the installation in kind of a real-time movement to kind of answer, I think, some of those questions that you've got or deep dive looks that you're looking into the installation itself. And so I would recommend utilizing that to solve that particular solution for you. One other one, our license plates currently cataloged as part of the visitor identification, and would automation that part be of interest? I'm going to say yes, and there's so much more we can do with that type of information. And there's a couple of companies out there that does license plate readers, and so I'd say yes. Hold up one second.
Certainly, take your time. And while they're consulting, do be aware, all the companies, if you scroll back in the chat, we put in there a link for you for the specific topic for ITMS. You can click that link and put in the solicitation ID that's right there in the chat as well, and that'll take you directly to the submission topic information, where you can read everything that has been put in for you to be able to understand what this is all about. And I see that our fantastic marketing team, it's on the ball, have put it again here at the bottom of the chat. So thank you for that, Joel.
Okay, this is Clark back again. I kind of glazed over, got happy there for a second with respect to license plates. So the question, are license plates currently cataloged as part of the visitor identification? No, they're not. It used to be a part of the process back when we used the 2220s for access onto the installations, but the Air Force has gotten away from it altogether. And then would automation, that process be an interest? And yes, it would be a part of the interest because there's some other technologies that you can attach to the vehicle. Without going into great details, it's almost to this point of, if you've gone through a toll road, there's toll road readers out there that reads the vehicle at 100 miles an hour and takes a picture of the driver. So I'll just leave it at that. But thank you very much. That's a good question too. I like that.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Okay, there is probably time for one more question if anybody has any final ones. We are almost up to the half hour. Again, we appreciate you coming. You've got my email address there. You have links to the Cyber Center website, also the SBCC ingest portal. And as this topic moves on through the rest of pre-release and then into the open period, May 15th, and that goes on for about a month, future questions can still be asked in DSIP, the Defense Supersitter Innovation Portal, as well as those of you who have the email addresses of the TPOCs. Those can still be asked directly to them in the pre-release period. Once May 15 comes, questions have to be asked in the public DSIP forum. So with that, looks like we're drawing to an end. I don't see any other questions. Again, thank you so much for coming, for being willing to put your technology before the warfighters and see what can be of use to them. We appreciate what you do. Thank you to the TPOCs for your expertise, for fielding all of these questions on the fly. Super grateful for you, what you do for our country and your service. And we look forward to working together with all of you in the future. Thanks again for attending.